Men. What are creepy things women do that usually goes unnoticed? Girls filming strange or attractive guys in public. Clearly the stranger doesn't know that he's being filmed or that he looks like he knows and uncomfortable with it. It still get posted online and left up as if it's not an obvious invasion of privacy. If it was the opposite, I'm sure it will be taken down. This happened to a good buddy of mine. He was asked out by the girl in one of our classes who he barely knew and had basically never talked to. He politely declined and moved on. Didn't think much about it. She continued to post on social media for months in a very explicit manner how he missed out on her and how she's too good for him and how he was ghosting her. I brought it up with him and he said he didn't really care, so he let it go. But I was super mad with her. Romantically accosting people on the internet is never cool. In college, a girl stalked me and did things like go into the men's bathroom just to look at me while I showered, even though there was literal video footage. The university did absolutely nothing, and a lot of my male friends tell me that I'm lucky. Calling someone to harass them for breaking up with their friend. I once broke up with a girl and her friends called to harass me, but I was such a nice guy that I just can't yell at you. When I saw who was calling, I'd answer with, "Hey, you calling cause I broke up with Melinda? I understand. Feel free to yell at me." No one yelled at me. Damaging their ex's property. Had to work with an ex of mine due to us both having leadership positions in our chorus program in high school. I was as polite to her, even though I knew there was something under the surface with her. Apparently, she had been obsessed over me during lockdown to a scary level. After I'd broken up with her right before COVID hit. Found out later she had seriously considered lighting my front yard on fire during the dry season through text as we lived in the same neighborhood. Definitely made me very anxious to be around her afterwards. Moved miles away and thankfully don't have to worry about her anymore. The figure me out game. They intentionally communicate poorly because they want their partner to figure out what is going on. It's downright mean. I was that partner years ago and I'm still messed up because of it. If my fiancé is having a bad day and talking less than usual, I have to restrain myself from anxiously trying to figure out what I may have done to cause this. So I've had very unique, long red curly hair all my life. Unfortunately for me, this meant a lot of old ladies liked it. I cannot count the amount of times an old lady went up to me and said I can't help myself or something like that and just rubbed their hands through my hair without asking me. This happened since I barely walk. It even happened when as a toddler/kid I was extremely shy and would hide behind my mum. What pisses me off big time about this is, if a guy did that to a 4-year-old girl it would be a big problem. Granted, now that I'm 21 people don't do that anymore, but it still bugs me that it happened. Hasn't happened to me, but I often see girls/women posting about how they flirt with someone that they have no interest in just because they are bored. I've seen huge pages on Facebook post something like, "Ugh, I hate it when you flirt with a guy when you're bored and then they start to like you." Playing with people like that is messed up. I was dating this girl who ended up faking that she would do a surprise visit to my house while I lived very far away. She'd text me that she'd be there in 2 minutes and was annoyed that I was annoyed that she'd show up unannounced while she wouldn't even know if I was home or not. After I broke it off, she did it a couple times more. She convinced a friend of mine to lure me into a bar where she was so she could win me back. I come into the bar, my friend isn't there, but the girl I ended things with and eventually blocked when things went too far was there, and she went as far as blocking my path to the exit, saying that if I left she would scream that I was threatening her. I'm not saying it's all women, but I've had a few experiences like this, although they didn't go that far. Women stalk. They stalk like hell, but it's typically seen in a very romantic light, which I don't really have a problem with. I just wish people would acknowledge it more often, because it happens a lot, and a lot of them are creepy when doing it. As a gay man, 2 things. Women wanting to be friends with us, so that they can parade us around as their gay best friend. Had a few friends say this to me. The moment that they start introducing me to their friends as "this is my gay friend that I was telling you about," I stopped talking to them. Try to turn me straight by doing things to attempt to seduce me, like WTF, I'm not interested. Also, the number of women who ask me for intimate details on my private life and act like it's not awkward at all is insane. My ex has the habit of talking like a baby and intentionally pronouncing words incorrectly like a child would. I can understand if a baby or a cute dog is in sight, but if you are, for example, cold, just say that normally. A creepy thing that everyone does, but I find women, particularly those who can't have children, more often do, keeping animals that should be put down alive. And I don't mean oh the animal is getting a bit old or aggressive. No, I mean the animal is blind, deaf, crippled with no recovery, constant infections, and other problems. They keep this animal alive because it is their baby. I find the act incredibly creepy and, in my personal opinion, extremely abusive toward the animal, as you are perpetuating its life through a hellish experience because you are not mature enough to let the animal go. Haven't experienced it myself, but many of my friends, girls talking with their friends about happens in bed way too detailed. Some discretion would be nice. And some women also do that staring thing they don't like when guys do it to them. Come on, just come over and talk instead of talking, trying to get me to you with telepathy. I'm a woman over 40. Truth. A lot of damaged women who put all the blame on all men. Apparently everyone's ex was an abusive narcissist, and therefore you are too. Lying about their age and thinking those fillers make them appear young instead of desperate. The worst thing is lying about their exes in court or even just spreading really malicious rumors. They do this lying so they can play the victim in hopes that some man will rescue them. I know a lot of good women. I've come across a lot of evil women. Hit on a man after learning he already has a girlfriend or boyfriend. Super creepy and gross feeling. I'd advise women not to do that, but then I'd be helping them to hide how creepy and bad people they are. Always knew to stay away from women who did that. How about when you crack a joke in jest at a woman's expense and they full on hit and get physical? If a man did that, they would be in jail. I was in my early/mid 20s grooving near the bar at a concert waiting for a drink. Some mildly attractive girl comes up to me and asks me to help her roll her sleeves up on her jean jacket. At the time I was quite more oblivious to signals, so I thought this is an odd request, but I obliged and went back to my headspace waiting for a drink. She immediately turned aggressive and said, "What are you, gay or something?" with this pissed off look on her face. I shot her back an extremely confused look, considering I just helped her with something, threw a red flag on the play, received my drink, and returned to my crew. She was so upset, continuing to call after me as I budgied off and enjoyed the rest of the show. That was an eye-opener. Women talk about intimate moments with each other way more often, way more directly, and with way more vulgarity, specificity, and lack of regard for privacy or courtesy than most men probably realize. The idea that locker room talk is a distinctly male pathology is utterly false. Increasingly, cultural norms are shifting in a way that discourages men from participating in this kind of gossip because it's an expression of toxic masculinity. Not so for women.